Hey, 7th graders. Today's lesson is 1.5 and 1.6, matter and energy, and we're going to be kind of doing our last little focus in on photosynthesis in this unit. So your guys' goal for today will be able to manipulate the amount of energy storage molecules produced in an ecosystem. So if I told you guys to reduce the amount of energy storage molecules in an ecosystem, you guys would know how to manipulate the factors of photosynthesis in those producers. And same if I asked you guys to increase the amount of energy storage molecules, you guys would be able to manipulate those factors that a producer goes through in photosynthesis to increase our output in an ecosystem. And then you guys will also see how those energy storage molecules move throughout an ecosystem. All right, so first things first, I want you guys to open up your OneNote and add key concepts 4 and 5. I kind of combined them together to make one key concept, and 6 and 7, and again, I combined them together to make one key concept there too. All right, so where there is more carbon dioxide, producers will have more carbon available to make more ESM. So that's kind of referring back to our learning target for today is, if we're increasing our ESMs, what's one way to do that? On the other hand, when there is less carbon dioxide, producers will have less carbon to make ESMs. Okay, so that's right out of the producer. When there's more sunlight, producers will have more energy to convert carbon dioxide and water into ESMs, and less sunlight means less ESMs. So that again goes hand in hand with the carbon dioxide concept. All right, next thing I want you guys to add to your notebook is this corrected version of the photosynthesis model that we made the other day in class. Okay, and I'm going to go through that with you. So first I'm going to go ahead and pull up that assignment. First off, I have to apologize. I forgot to put oxygen and O2. So I think that confused some of you guys to have this picture of oxygen but not have anything to label it with. And so I think that made you guys feel that it was probably out of place. With that being said, though, I'm going to go through this with you. So first of all, we need three things for photosynthesis. We need carbon dioxide and water. But photosynthesis won't happen unless we have energy of the sun. So we already kind of had done water together. We know that plants take in water in the roots. So I think I had water down here. Formula for water is H2O. Oops, wrong one. H2O. So I'm going to drag H2O down there. And then I'm going to go up here and use my little key to figure out which one of these images represents water. So first of all, our little key has this little black circle being carbon, a carbon atom. And if I look at my formula for water, H2O, there is no carbon there. There is no C. Okay, so obviously I'm going to be considering the pictures that do not have this little black dot. Okay, so here's one that's pretty large and complex. It has the little black dots. This one's all the little red dots. This one has the black dots with the red on either side. Okay, which if we look at these, that could only be carbon dioxide. Carbon and 2 oxygens. The black is the carbon. That must mean the red are the 2 oxygens. So that means our reds are oxygens. Okay, and so if we look at this one right here is going to be our water. Okay, and because we need this for photosynthesis, we're going to take our little draw tool and draw an arrow to show that water is coming into our plant for that. So I think I even wrote a little in on there for you. Okay, the next thing that our plant needs for photosynthesis, carbon dioxide, and as I told you guys in the last video, we take in carbon dioxide and any other gases that we exchange in and out of the plant comes through these little stomata in the leaves. They're like little holes or little openings. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to grab my carbon dioxide. Again, we know that carbon is this black atom, so it's carbon and 2 oxygen. The only one that has a black and then 2 other colors is this one right here. So this one must be our carbon dioxide. And again, we need it for photosynthesis. So I'm going to draw a little arrow pointing in right to my leaves because again, that's where that carbon dioxide enters in, is in those little stomatas. Okay. And then finally, I need energy from the sunlight. So I'm going to go ahead and move some of these down and out of the way. And I'm going to go ahead and put energy from my sun right here. And again, draw a little arrow showing that obviously the leaves are what capture the energy. So I'm going to point right to my leaves with a little in arrow because again, these are things that we need. They're inputs that we need for photosynthesis. All right, so let's talk about our outputs then. So then we use the energy from the sun, the carbon dioxide, and the water to complete photosynthesis. And we do this all in the chloroplasts of the cell. And we find these little chloroplasts in the leaves. Okay, chloroplasts are filled up with chlorophyll, and chlorophyll is what gives the plant the green color. One thing that we talked about in class that I didn't talk to you guys about at home is the fact that when you guys look at a plant and you see the green color, it's because that color of light is being reflected back at your eyes. Okay, so if you guys have ever messed around with little glass prisms and light, where you guys have refracted light and then it shows up as the rainbow, all white light is made up of all the colors of the rainbow. Okay, and they're all different wavelengths and different energies. But basically, when you guys look at something that's a color, maybe you're wearing a red shirt, all of the colors of that white light are absorbed into that shirt except red, and red is refracted or bounced off, reflected back into your eyes. So you guys see red. So if we're talking about photosynthesis and what color of light is best for photosynthesis, okay, we can tell that green is not going to be a good light because green is reflected back into our eyeballs. Okay, it's not absorbed at all. So we're not actually using green light as energy from the sun from photosynthesis at all. Okay, so, and if you guys have any questions about that, or you want to learn more of that about that light concept and how we see colors, or like how a rainbow works, please let me know. I'd love to have that conversation with you. It's kind of an interesting little conversation. Okay, all right, so in the chloroplast, we have photosynthesis taking place. So I'm going to go ahead and label my chloroplast as chloroplasts. And we are producing two things in photosynthesis. So again, we're using energy from the sun to convert carbon dioxide and water into glucose is one of them. So I'm going to put glucose down here. And oxygen is the other one. And again, I apologize for not having oxygen over here as a label for you guys. So oxygen is O2 and glucose is C6H12O6. So this is an energy storage molecule. You guys have seen this before. This is this really complex one down here that has all the carbon. So you can see there's 6 carbons if you guys were to count. 12 hydrogens. Again, if you were to count the little white things, you guys should be able to see 12. I know that picture's kind of small. And 6 oxygen are the little reds. Okay, so that must mean that this one right here is our oxygen. And finally, going back to our draw tool, we know that we breathe in oxygen and breathe out carbon dioxide. A plant breathes in carbon dioxide and breathes out oxygen, and that oxygen comes from this process of photosynthesis. So I'm going to go ahead and draw a little arrow there out saying that, all right, that oxygen is leaving the plant through these same stomata for us to be able to breathe in. So that's kind of cool to see how that comes full circles and cycles back to us. Okay, and last but not least, even though the glucose stays in the plant for that and plant's food and energy, I'm going to draw a little out arrow here. Again, it doesn't leave the plant uses it for energy, and we'll talk about that in the next chapter. But I did want to indicate that it is a product of photosynthesis. So I just kind of set it over here. I didn't associate it with any specific part of the plant. Like I said, it does not leave the plant. It stays in there for energy. And again, we'll talk about that next chapter. Okay, so this is what your guys' model should look like. And I just wanted to kind of go through that with you guys so you were clear on that. And then obviously you have this image, pretty much the same image to put into your guys' notes to have that to study. All right, so moving on, let's look at our warm-up. So Jamie is using the sim and asks you for his advice. He says, I want an ecosystem that makes as many energy storage molecules as possible. What should I do to increase the number of energy storage molecules that producers make? So again, this focuses back in on our learning target of how we can manipulate the amount of ESMs in an ecosystem. So what should Jamie do to increase the number of energy storage molecules that producers can make? You may choose more than one answer. So we have decrease the amount of carbon dioxide in the ecosystem, increase the amount of carbon dioxide in the ecosystem, decrease the amount of sunlight, or increase the amount of sunlight. So circle all that would increase our ESMs, and then explain your choices right here. Okay, just a reminder, anytime you guys see that question mark, you have something to do on that slide. All right, so now we're actually going to go and manipulate these and test them. Oh, wait, sorry, one more thing first. We're going to do a modeling tool, and we're going to do this together so you guys can pause as you need to complete this, and then you guys will be responsible for using the snipping tool to put it in to your assignment, excuse me. All right, so you have been investigating the process of photosynthesis to help you answer the investigative question, where do energy storage molecules in an ecosystem come from? So return to the matter and energy ecosystem modeling tool, so that's where we're going to go right now, and make a model that shows where the energy storage molecules in an ecosystem come from. So your goal, show where they're coming from. What you're going to do is you're going to drag items from the ecosystem and matter categories into your model, so that'll be kind of the key on the right-hand side. You're going to add movement arrows to show how matter moves through the ecosystem. I'll show you guys those. They're also on the right side. And then you're going to drag one or more process editors to use your model. In this case, we really just need to use photosynthesis as our process that we're discussing. Use them to show the process that makes energy storage molecules. So again, that's just photosynthesis. That's the only process making ESMs. Name the process and show the input and outputs. You do not have to include all the items in your model, only include those that will help you meet the goal. So go ahead and you guys can right click this, open your link up, and it takes you guys into this blank modeling tool here. All right, so what we see at the top is a box for abiotic, and we have a box for biotic. So remember, bio means life, so biotic is anything that we consider living. So we're going to be looking obviously at things like producers there. All right, so let's talk abiotic. Abiotic is non-living. The main thing that we want to focus on as non-living is this carbon dioxide here. So first and foremost, you guys will drag this carbon dioxide into that abiotic box. Why is it not adding it? So I'm trying to add air there. Let me refresh this really quick. Oh, here we go, air. So I gotta add air first. All right, so you guys will add air first. That's a silly way to do that. And then you guys can add your carbon dioxide to your air. Okay, I thought that was kind of self-explanatory, but apparently not. All right, so now we have all of our air with our carbon dioxide in it. And we know that the main process, or where ESMs come from, is from these producers. Okay, so we're going to want to obviously start with a producer. So a producer is a living organism, so we're going to go ahead and drag that producer into our biotic environment here. Okay, and then we're going to click on the process editor to show how producers make those ESMs. So you guys would click and drag select a process over to our producer, and then we're going to hit the little blue pen to edit it. Okay, so our process in this case is going to be photosynthesis. Our input, it really kind of limits. You guys aren't going to be doing the full carbon dioxide, water, sunlight, those kinds of things. We do need energy, and we do need carbon dioxide. Obviously, there's no option for water there. And then it makes oxygen, which again, there's no option for that, and energy storage molecules in the form of glucose. So you guys would drag all of that over here. You guys can drag more carbon dioxides if you want. You really don't need that much, so this should suffice. All right, so this is my little model, and then I can just hit close and it will update in there. So here's our input, here's our output. That shows us a producer, but we really want to know for a whole ecosystem. So what eats a producer? Okay, if you guys said primary consumer, you are correct. So I will drag another organism there and say, all right, producer makes these ESMs, but where do they come from in an ecosystem? We obviously need an ecosystem outside of just producers. So a primary consumer is something like an herbivore, like a deer or a rabbit that directly eats and gets all of their energy storage molecules from the producers themselves. So then we're gonna go ahead and, oh, we can finish this process up. Let's get some sunlight in here. Okay, all right, so now we can finish this process up and say, all right, here we go, sorry. Okay, so I connected those arrows just to kind of show where our energy comes from and where our carbon dioxide comes from. It's not like you guys don't know that by now. So just making it a little bit more complete. All right, so now let's talk. Energy storage molecules are going to be transferring from our producer to our primary consumer. Okay, so we'll get those so they're all connected. And then we can say, all right, primary consumers are eaten by secondary consumers. So we can go ahead and drag that there. And again, we can, oops, get all of our little ESMs here to show the transfer. All right, so the primary consumer ate the producer. Now it has ESMs. And now our primary consumer, there we go, oops, is going to be eaten by our secondary consumer. Let's go ahead and connect those. And really, we don't need to talk about their energy source yet, so we don't need to add any processes to these. And then I can throw some energy storage molecules there. All right, so you guys are gonna build this. Again, hopefully you guys just built it as you went. You paused my video as I went through it. And then you guys are going to screenshot this model into your assignment. So on slide 6, there's a spot that says, insert your model here. You guys should have this exact same model that I do, okay, because we did this together. All right, moving on. The last 2 parts of this are simulation, where you guys will be manipulating the amount of energy storage molecules in an ecosystem. So answer that question. All right, here's your sim link right here. Your sim mission: determine ways to decrease energy storage molecules. So that's your sim mission number 1. I'm just gonna kind of breeze through these. You guys should really know this process at this point. What factors affect how many energy storage molecules producers are able to make? We know that energy storage molecules decreased in the biodome. So when we talked about life in the biosphere, the biodome, we know that we lost a lot of carbon dioxide and those scientists were not getting enough. So what could have caused a change in the amount of energy storage molecules that producers were making? So use the sim to help you find out. All right, so first and foremost, you guys are gonna make some predictions. Find at least 2 ways to decrease the amount of energy storage molecules producers can make without using the kill button. So you guys can't kill off any organisms, okay? So one way to decrease the number of energy storage molecules that producers can make is to use your draw tool to circle either increase or decrease sunlight, burn dead matter, bury dead metal or trap carbon dioxide. And then you'll do your second prediction here. Those are gonna be the 2 that you guys are planning to go test out. All right, so here's how you test it. You're gonna open the sim. Without changing any of the starting values, press play and run for at least 20 time units. This same pattern that you guys see, or the same instructions, are very similar to what we did in the last unit with populations and resources, where we were trying to change the population numbers. Make only 1 change to the ecosystem. Do not use the kill button. So let's just take a look at our sim really quick. Remember that if you guys want to make a change and see a big effect of whether you're trying to reduce or increase your ESMs, you need to make a big change. So if you guys are trying to increase the amount of sunlight or decrease the amount of sunlight, you guys are going to do that as much as you are able to do so. Okay, make only 1 change. Observe the ecosystem for an additional 50 time units, and then look for evidence that your mission is complete. So did your ESMs decrease is basically what you guys are looking for in this first sim unit. So you guys can look at the graphs at the very end when you hit analyze. Let's see if this is loaded yet. Okay, so you guys can change your sunlight here. You guys can either increase it or decrease it according to the predictions you made. Burn dead matter, bury dead matter. So you guys can see all of those with when you're running it. So let's actually go hit play. Okay, so you guys can see bury and burn. Okay, and again, you guys can kind of see the effects that those might have. And if you guys do something that doesn't work, that's totally fine. Okay, you're going to be asked this question again: what actually worked? Okay, so if you guys said I want to burn dead matter, and then you find out that that doesn't work, okay, then don't go back and change your predictions. Okay, I want you guys just to figure out what does work, what does decrease your ESMs. And then you guys will come back and say, this is what I actually did. So here was your instructions, here's your results. Okay, so what actually did work to decrease? So you guys can mess around with that, see what actually decreases. And then again, when you guys are done, you guys should be able to analyze and look at the graph. Looks like our graph is right down here to see, all right, ESMs, how is that going down? Okay. So take a look at that graph, and you guys can see, you guys can add on ESMs right there. All right, here's our orange line for ESMs, okay? All right, for the last part, you guys are doing the exact same change, okay? Except you're gonna try to increase. So again, make your prediction. What do you guys think will increase? Run through the instructions, and then what actually did increase. So find the 2 that will increase your guys' ESMs, and then answer the question. And then finally, do your wrap up. Do you have any questions? Circle yes or no. If you guys have any questions, type them right here, or if it's something that's preventing you from finishing the assignment that you need help on, please let me know and I can help you out. And then 4, 3, 2, 1, how do you think you did? You are all done and you may hand this in. I hope you guys are having a great day. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.